Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are and when you actually see this. This is a Roaming Prepper channel. I'm your host, Pete, and thank you for joining me. I just wanted to touch base about the fact that we're now in May. And once again, it's an election year for president, and we have riots and protests and all sorts of disruption. Now, we're going to talk about the history of these disruptions and why I think they're interrelated, just my opinion. I also want to talk about how we need to think a little bit out of the box for this summer. This hopefully won't be too long, but I'll be right back and we can talk a little bit more. All right, so welcome back, everybody. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for doing that. If you want to share, that's very cool too. So, what's the deal? So this year we have Free Palestine. I said on a live stream, I just did actually. You guys will probably see this a few days later after that live stream. This year is Free Palestine. Last presidential election was Black Lives Matter. The one before that was the rise of Antifa. The one before that was Climate and Wall Street. And then the one before that was Occupy Wall Street. This has been a recurring theme every presidential election. And all of these rioters, for the most part, are coming up on the left. Now, again, some people will say I'm biased. I probably am, but in these Free Palestine protests, other than the Jewish students who clearly support Israel and then the anti Israeli group, um, and I don't see a lot of the pro Israelis everywhere. It's the Free Palestine and this weird mix of Antifa and Free Palestine are in the school buildings, breaking the windows, throwing things at cops. You're not seeing it from the other side. This is a classic Marxist movement. This is a classic Marxist behavior. Saul Alinsky talks about it in his book. I believe the Chinese Mao, when they had the overthrow of the old government, started with the college kids. Um, and Israel, whether you agree or disagree with how they're handling Gaza, is concerned because the attacking and blocking of Jewish students is exactly what happened in the 1930s before World War II. So there's a lot of historical context. Fortunately, I think most people are paying attention. They kind of let the protests go for a bit and then they got out of hand. So now it's being dealt with. But now you have conflict between law enforcement and the authorities and the protesters. Um, that being said, I think all of them are kind of interrelated. I think this is one large Marxist type movement. Marxism likes to separate by economic class, by race, by religion, and by color, and other things like that. So this has all the hallmarks on it. That's just my take based on my own reading and the reading from the Communist Manifesto. And yes, I have a copy over here in my library. I actually read it. All things apart, this summer is going to get interesting. Okay, this May of 2024, it's early May. We have riots in Columbia University, UT Austin. They just flashbanged the crap out of a bunch of protesters and dragged them off. Now the trash trucks, or they're taking away their stuff and sending it to the landfill. Um, Florida State just sent the state troopers and county police into another college. So it's all over the place. A few weeks ago, they were blocking bridges and highways, and people were getting stuck. There were fistfights. One guy, his wife was in the hospital because she had had an accident, and these assholes blocked him. So he went over and started punching them. And ultimately, he didn't get arrested, but they gave him a citation, and they arrested the protester he beat up and a few others, and they finally let the guy through. Not all the protesters are like this. There was one scene where a guy went up and said, "Hey, look, my wife's having a baby," and they came over and saw the pregnant girl and were like, "Oh," and they kind of opened up a channel so that little car could go through. So obviously, we have agitators and we have people who really believe in their cause, and they're all mixed together. And what that does, it makes this soup of stupidity, and a lot of otherwise well-meaning people are getting misled, and it's happened before. We've seen it. As you get into the summer, right? Your college kids, nieces, nephews, your own kids are going to come home. They need to have a get-home bag. They need to have a physical map, not just the do phone. They need a physical map of where they're going and an alternate route. They need to have comms. Cell phone is the preferred method. Obviously, some college kids don't have the time or money for a ham radio, but even a GMRS or an FRS radio, a little walkie talkie, they can scan channels if comms go down. If the kids are traveling home, they should have the routes mapped, route A, B, and C, as well as stop off points. If something gets blocked, if something happens and I can't go from, say, I like to use Texas, from Houston on the coast to Dallas in the middle of the state, I'm going to stop in Huntsville. I'm going to stop at Uncle Tom's house in Cut and Shoot, Texas. Yes, that's actually a town. Cut and Shoot. Look it up. um, if you know, okay, if my kid couldn't make it out of the city, he's going to this destination, at least you have a thought process on, well, they didn't make it home, but I know the routes they were supposed to take and where their stop offs were, and then you can start searching in reverse for your family member. um, right now the kids are taking finals or graduating or trying to graduate, so I think the school year will be out of the picture here shortly. However, holiday season's going to begin, right? The weather's getting better. You're going to have people on vacation, people on the road, visiting family, taking time off, going backpacking, hunting, whatever. Do your homework. Be prepared for when you're on the road. And again, we'll go back to the basics. One, plan out your route. Two, let someone else know where the hell you're going and how you're getting there and how you're getting back. If you're flying, I would highly recommend, I know it's going to cost more, renting a vehicle, just a small one, a Toyota, Prius, whatever the hell. I'm a fan of hybrids. I'm not a fan of the EVs. Um, Rent a truck, borrow a vehicle from a family member if they're willing to loan you, because they have a liability if they give you a vehicle. um, have a vehicle as an option. Other than that last road trip where I tested out the EV and I have comments about what I think of the EVs and their practicality, um, I always try to rent a vehicle when I'm on a business trip. If I fly, I'm renting a vehicle. Even when we went to Vegas on vacation, I rented a vehicle. And our philosophy is I keep cash with me. If something really epic happens, I will drive my ass from Las Vegas, Nevada back to Texas. It'll take me 2 days, but I have family in Arizona. I have family in El Paso. I have family and friends in New Mexico. I have work colleagues all over the place. If I have to hopscotch my way back home and it takes me 3 days, I can do it. So make sure you account for things like that. You really want to consider having the option to drive home if you can't fly home. Remember, during 9/11, no planes took off for almost a week and a half. Okay, so if you're flying from California to New York and that something happens, you're SOL. But if you rented a vehicle, you can drive it. They're going to charge you. That's fine. You want to charge me for driving from, Houston across the state of Texas in the little Prius or the Toyota Camry or whatever the hell I have? Great. Just something to think about. Again, keep in mind your budget, your time, your resources, etc. Um, Speaking of places to stop, having friends and family who know, hey, I'm going to be going from A to B. If something happens, do you mind if I stop there? Let them know in advance. You don't have to go and camp out. It's not to mooch off of their preps by any means, but you may just need to say, "Hey, look, let me fill my water and let's walk through a map with me." If it's a friend, and say, "Okay, you may just need a cup of coffee, a little extra water for your container, and a snack and a map." And then you just sit down and go through your route and have them give you feedback, right? Because local folks will know things. So if I'm, say, traveling through certain parts of Texas or Dallas or wherever, and say I run into Texas Red Leg or Red October, right? They're both here in Texas. I've met both guys, and I'm like, hey, I need a place to park and go through a map with you because I don't know this particular area. They can sit down with me and say, hey, look, just stay off the highway. If you take Route 111 around this way, it takes you longer, but you avoid this city or this construction zone or this riot, and you can go in through the country and pop out on the other side. Local knowledge is key. So having some friends and also having a place you can just stop and get your bearings, like get your brain together, super important. Make sure you have snacks. Make sure you have a physical map. Again, not just a do phone. You have a means to navigate where the hell you're going, and have a compass. That never hurts. If nothing else, you have no map, you can say, okay, I have to go north and I have to go east. And you just keep going north and east till you pop up somewhere you know. It's a terrible way to do it, but it sometimes works. I've done it. Um, Account for your pets. If you leave your pets at home, make sure that if you have a dog sitter who's usually a trusted friend or someone you know, that they have enough food, not just for your being gone, but enough for an extended week. Let your pet sitter know, hey, look, if something happens, I may be delayed 2 or 3 days. I'll pay you when I get back. What I like to do is I like to pay my dog sitter. If we're going to be 4 days, I'll pay her 4 days in cash before I leave. And in the event I have add-on, well, she's at least been paid for that part, and then I can pay her the rest when I get back. Speaking of money, have enough cash for emergencies. Now, people ask me, how much is that? It depends. How many people are in your family? How many folks are going with you? What are you bringing? Is anyone disabled? Do you have kids? Do you have pets? I don't know. That's a question you have to answer. I can't answer it for you. That being said, my own rule of thumb is as follows. I know it takes about 50 bucks to give me a full tank of gas. It's 30 for my wife's vehicle. I know a cheap hotel will be about 50 bucks also. So let's say something pops off and I'm not going to be able to make it home easily. So I'm figuring 2 nights in a hotel, 2 nights of gas, and maybe one, two, three, 4 meals. Let's say we hit the grocery store 4 times. So 200, maybe 300 bucks. Right now, you may be wondering how I did that math. It's kind of in my head, but and that's why I bring snacks, right? Because then those meals, well, I have snacks, so maybe I can do 1 meal a day, a good breakfast, and then I snack in the afternoons and save my money for the next breakfast, and I can focus on fuel and lodging. Now, if you sleep in your vehicle in a truck stop that's relatively safe, you can knock out a night of hotel. So again, you have to do your own scenarios, but a couple of $100 usually will fit the bill to at least pay for gas, and make sure you have small denominations, because if you have a 20 and you're only buying 10 bucks of goods and they don't have change, guess what? Your goods are now 20 bucks. You just paid double because they can't make change. So have fives, have tens, have singles. You'll be somebody's favorite person if you bring them a bunch of singles. So understanding the types of money and how much you need in an emergency, because the cards may not work if the power goes out. We all know that. Also, check your weather before you hit the road. These are important things to do. So, folks, again, with pop up protests in the highways, in the high schools, in the colleges, in the middle of cities, in thoroughfares, you could go all the way to your destination, have your whole vacation, try to drive home, and get stuck on an overpass because a bunch of jackasses did something. And something that keeps me up at night, if they can shut down 10 bridges and 10 universities all at the same time in a coordinated effort, all you need is one bad guy in each location. You don't need a big army. You just need one bad guy to do something at the same time at all 10 or 20 locations. And you're going to watch this country come to a screeching panicked halt, worse than anything COVID could have done, because not everyone was on the board with COVID, but terror attacks, people getting blown up, shot, dying, whatever, that will shut most people down in the country, both physically and psychologically. And now you're going to have to deal with the general public. So have these factors in. Doesn't mean you don't travel. I fully intend to travel. I travel all the time. You guys who follow me know that. But this is a great time to do your homework, get your ducks in a row, so that when you're on that road trip, in the back of your mind, you know, I have the emergency radio, I have the extra cash, I have the extra credit card if you have one, I've got the power bank to charge my phone, I've got a little walkie talkie, and, I got a sleeping bag, whatever. I kind of know I have the basics to get through some shit if something happens. So anyway, folks, that's it for this one. God bless, Godspeed. I hope I give you something to think about. Continue to enjoy your life. I mean, what the hell are we doing this for if we can't be happy in our lives and see the people we care for and love? But be smart. And I wouldn't tell all the people you love and care for, they should be doing the same. Until next time, you guys be safe out there.